In this video, I'm going to teach you 3 powerful ways to eliminate bad thoughts using NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And I'm also going to share a resource about how you can learn to use NLP to create more of the life you want. As human beings, we're gifted with this incredible resource called our brain and body. Yet no one gave us an instruction manual, and for the most part, our brains seem to run without any influence from us. Thoughts arrive, thoughts leave, feelings come, feelings go. And sometimes we experience repetitive, unwanted thoughts, which we label as bad thoughts, which at first can seem tricky to shift. You see, this may seem radical to some and to others blaspheming, but have you ever realized that a thought is just a thought? As human beings, when we think, we have this mechanism in place where we produce feelings and connections automatically. It's as if whatever we thought, whatever passes our mind, is real. It's kind of cool, and left unconsidered, kind of scary. It reminds me of a joke I once heard a comedian say. I used to think my brain was the smartest organ in my body till I realized who was telling me. I'm sure you've had that experience where you had a thought. You thought something, you heard something from a friend, and it created a feeling. And later on, you found out that what you thought or what you heard wasn't so and didn't come to pass. Now, the interesting thing is, was the feeling any less real? Not at the time. Why? Because up until now, perhaps, you thought that your thoughts are real and not just thoughts in your head. There's often 1,000,001 ways to look at any given context. And if you only stay fixed on one way of thinking about something, especially if it's not helping you get the results you want, then you're only going to repeat what isn't working for you. You see, the thoughts you have, especially those unwanted, repeating so-called bad thoughts, are just thoughts. They aren't real. They're ideas about, they're opinions about. Sure, there may be some bad thoughts that you have so-called evidence for, or at least think you have evidence for. Yet, these two are just thoughts, and not the full picture. I remember years ago, before I learned what I'm about to teach you, I had this one repeating unwanted thought in my head. The darn thing just didn't seem to want to go away, and worse, it would pop up uncontrollably into my head at the most inappropriate times. It had become so frequent that I was worried that there was something wrong with me, and worse, began start having anxiety, dreading the idea of that thought descending on me. And what if it was always going to be that way? If you're having unwanted thoughts, perhaps you can relate. Now, this is the kind of stupid stuff our brains, left untrained, can do to ourselves. So here's what I did to resolve it and eliminate it forever. 1. Start doing the thought intentionally. Part of the problem, if you've suffered from unwanted thoughts, especially if they seem to rise out of nowhere or occur at unexpected times, is that we begin to fear having the thought. And so the thought about our thoughts causes us to experience anxiety or fear. And by the way, this is completely natural and expected if it's happening for you. Some folks try to resist having the thought, but as you know, what you resist often persists. So go with the flow, but you dictate the terms. To get more control over the experience, deliberately try to make the unwanted or bad thought happen. Try it now. Can you do it? Go ahead. Good. Now, at various points over the coming week, deliberately try to make the unwanted thought happen. Quickly, your brain's going to start learning, I get it. I can switch on or off this thought. Up until now, of course, it's always been the case that the damn thing just popped into your head. But when you start deliberately doing it at your choosing, eventually your brain will get metaphorically bored with having that thought. It realizes it has choice and it no longer is interested. 2. Anytime you have an unwanted thought or one of those thoughts that make you feel bad, start labeling it as just a thought, false, just ideas, just a thought, just a thought. It's just a thought. Eventually you will start to recognize that these are just thoughts and aren't worth thinking, and poof, it's gone. 3. You can use a brilliant technique I learned from Richard Bandler many years ago. Whenever you have an unwanted thought, right after you say to yourself, it's just a thought, take a breath, relax your body, and then white out the picture, just like that, in your mind, and repeat it as many times as necessary. This is a very effective way to train and retrain your brain to forget what isn't important, that doesn't need remembering, because that thought is just a thought, and all thoughts will pass and leave you. So there you have it. 3 powerful ways that when you combine and use will quickly eliminate unwanted thoughts. And for me, way back then when I had that unwanted thought, after I quickly applied what you've just learned here, the thoughts just vanished. Without even realizing, I even forgot I was no longer having them and just began enjoying my life more. So if you'd like to learn more about neurolinguistic programming and how to use NLP on yourself to create more of the life you want, then check out the link below, which will take you to a great product resource created by myself and master trainer Michael Breen to do just that, to help you create more of the life you want and make these kind of challenges something in the past. Click the link below now to go and watch.